Society assumes that every child has a well-meaning family culture that is accepting of this. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is involve a parent in some of these issues based on their own beliefs and their own culture.
Whoa. What? That was from a Rhode Island school board conversation. Brad, just so I get that right, she said sometimes the worst thing you can do is involve a parent.
Yes.
And she's talking about notifying parents of a child's gender transition. You have to still be somebody out there who hears that and go, that's nuts. Well, we need people out there fighting against it because this is very much so established in culture right now. The progressive version of culture today that has worked its way into our political system very much so states that this is the prevailing thought for activists who have found their way, especially into local government. And right now, there is a right to parent ballot initiative that I am excited to talk to my friend Jeanne Ives about. She joins the show now. She's the host of The Real Story. You have to check out her show. It's great. She has done a wonderful job building that show. It's called The Real Story. You can find her on Facebook.com/Jeanne Ives or on Twitter @Jeanne Ives. Jeanne, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. I'm going to read right now the Right to Parent Ballot Initiative, and then I want you to tell me about your advocacy here. It says, shall the written consent from a minor's parent or guardian be required before any entity, person, clinic, or school can provide a minor under the age of 18 years any non-emergency medical procedure, medication, pharmaceutical, or any gender modification procedure, gender identification counseling, or gender therapy? Jeanne, what is this initiative that you are advocating for here, and where would it be applicable if this question were put on a ballot?
So this initiative came to me from a fellow parishioner at my local parish in Wheaton, and he wanted to do something about the state having a repealed parental notification of abortion. And I said, this is actually an issue that's much broader than just parental notification of abortion. The state has eroded a parent's right to know a lot of different things, including with the State Board of Education putting out guidance saying that you can socially transition a child behind a parent's back. And that particular guidance has been adopted by a number of school districts and is actually enforced right now. So they can socially transition a child. They can call them a different pronoun. They can give them different clothing when they're at school. They can treat them differently. And nobody knows the better, not even their own people's parents. And so we broadened this and said, you have an affirmative right to parent your child. You have a right to do it. Yeah. It's not the state's right to do it. It's your right. And so we put together this ballot initiative, and we're seeking 500,000 signatures from around the state, from registered voters, to get this as a public policy question on the 2024 ballot.
That's fantastic. While you put it out there that you need signatures, that's the ask here. And I know I myself will be participating and signing this immediately. Tell us exactly what we need to do for everybody listening right now who believes that parents should be the first line of defense and decision-making for their minor children. Where can people go to support what you're doing?
Well, first of all, this isn't even controversial. And when you're talking to people, nearly everybody will sign this petition because to them, first of all, they don't know that their rights have been eroded by the radical progressive legislature and Governor Pritzker. They have no idea that this is happening. But number two, it's just common sense. I mean, it's literally common sense that parents have a right to know this. So they can go to parentsmattercoalition.org. And at our website, you can sign up to be an activist volunteer. You can sign up to host a signature party. You can download the petition there and the instructions, and please read them carefully. And you can actually just go ahead and circulate it yourself, get that notarized, and mail it into us. We'd like all these done by the beginning of April so we can assemble it together. But we need everybody to do this, to circulate on their own. Don't just sign it yourself. Go to your 10 or 20 friends and circulate it for us.
Yeah. I mean, if you talk about 10 or 20 friends, that could be just 5, maybe 8 households that you go talk to, people who have common sense and understand the importance of participating in this system here. I've got it pulled up. If people are watching on the YouTube page here, I want people to understand how easy it is to get this signed and what this looks like. So you're just going to download it from the website, which she just mentioned here is parentsmattercoalition.org. and all the directions are there in plain speak. We need your name, and your street address, your city, town, or village, and your county. If you've ever signed a petition for getting a candidate's name on a ballot, it's very similar to that. One of the things that you were talking about, Jeannie, how they work to do the social change with such discretion. And I've talked to a lot of teachers about this in varying areas, both Missouri and Illinois, but more so in Illinois. And even the way that teachers are instructed in the state of Illinois specifically, if a child comes to you and says, my name's not Joe anymore, I want you to call me Joanna, and they're transitioning, when those parents come in, you're not supposed to, if they were to sit down for a normal parent-teacher conference after first quarter, look at the report card, you are supposed to keep that a secret from the parents. That is an initiative with our education system in the state of Illinois, backed up by what the state government is doing.
Well, that's exactly what's happening. And in fact, I got private information that a school district, prior to conferences with parents, literally instructed their teachers to know whether they can and what names and pronouns to use or not use in front of the teachers based on what the child had decided they wanted to be called or not called, so that the teacher wasn't confusing to the parents or outing the child in front of the parents. They were specifically instructed to look over their student list and make sure that they weren't going to violate a child's privacy. It's insane.
It is. It's crazy to think that what the state of Illinois specifically has done here, and that you said that initial push was kind of abortion centered. Just yesterday, I was supposed to do the show here yesterday. I got a call at 11:55. My 11-year-old daughter had 102 fever. Had to go get her. Just earlier that day, they had to call my husband to come. She said she had a bad headache. My husband had to come give ibuprofen or some sort of medicine to her because they wouldn't give that to her. My children go to a Lutheran school, and we prioritize that in our family. But I'm pretty sure that if you were going to a public school and your kid had a headache and the school, without permission from the parents, gave them Tylenol, and something happened because that Tylenol was dispensed, that the school's going to have some significant liability on their hands for making that decision for the child and the child's well-being. This is so much more serious than a Tylenol for a headache. We're so upside down.
Yeah, no, I mean, and honestly, they already are introducing gender ideology to even younger grades, and they're, and when they introduce it, they shouldn't even have to be able to introduce it, in my opinion. They shouldn't have to, but then, if a child opens up to it, the next step is like, well, we're going to talk about it and we're not going to tell the parents. They're going to counsel about it. Maybe there's some therapy. Maybe there's a school psychologist that steps in as well. And before you know it, it's run amok, because we know that a lot of this is a social contagion in many cases. And it's also kids that kind of sometimes might be on the autism spectrum. That's not with any case, but it certainly was the case, and I think, which is the most famous Illinois case where a school ran amok, and that's in the Hinsdale School District. A man named Jay Keck, you can look it up yourself, go to USA Today, read his article, his op-ed in the USA Today from 2019. He literally lays out that his school district, Hinsdale School District, socially transitioned their child when they were told not to. They found out they were doing, they told them not to, they continued to do it. And he says that his daughter was on the spectrum. So, I mean, this can happen to vulnerable kids, and you're none the better knowing it, because they will hide it from you. It's nefarious, it's insidious, it's everything that is wrong with the state of Illinois. I mean, honestly, they think that they can parent your child better than you. They think they know better than you. They think that they can make better decisions in every aspect of your life. I mean, from banning natural gas to, and forcing you into electric vehicle, to telling you what you can do with your child. I mean, it's just, this state is out of control.
It's so far out of control. We're speaking with Jeanne Ives right now. I want you to go to parentsmattercoalition.org to learn more about this ballot initiative.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'll highlight too, Jeanne, before we wrap up here, is that the ballot initiative is really about parents' rights. It's not really it's not from the position, it's not taking a side on the the presence of LGBTQIA plus issues. It's saying that your educational system should not be allowed to be influencing and persuading your child in secret. It's really that
That's
simple.
right.
And that is such a that's a normal thought for people to think. And it's happening so much more frequently than taxpayers and voters understand that I think this ballot initiative is a must sign. And I hope people listening do support it.
So we didn't go as far as many other red states or more conservative states are going. They're outright banning you to do any of this type of counseling, hormonal therapy, transitioning. You can't do that at all with a minor. They're just saying outright, you can't touch that stuff until you're past the age of maturity. Okay, fine. Well, first of all, the age of maturity anymore, most psychologists think is like 25. The way you can't even, you can't even get a rent a car until that age because they know that that's an insurance problem. So, but here you're going to let these students, middle school students, decide for themselves. So we're not even going that far to ban it. Is my point. We're saying you got to let parents know.
Yes.
You got to let them know.
Amen.
And I think it's like a no-brainer.
It is. It is a no-brainer, and I would beg of my Illinois listeners to sign this. ParentsMatterCoalition.org. Print out one petition, sign it yourself, fill it up, send it in, and we will start making real, meaningful progress. Jeannie, thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate it, and I want to follow up with you and see how this is going, maybe in early April, to see how well your signatures turned out and what happens next.
Thank you. We need everybody's help for this. Thank you so much.
Of course. Jeanne Ives, thank you for being with us here today.